Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass and Move. And for today's episode, in our very first episode actually of the brilliant Bayer Leverkusen episodes, we've got a series rather. We've got the introduction to the team and transfers and all that sort of business tactics, everything. So we actually won't be showing you any actual matches today. We'll be showing you that in the next episode, which should be coming out tomorrow, so keep an eye out on that. If you have no interest on learning about, our tactics or how the friendlies went, for example, any transfers, any ins, any outs, all that sort of business, then, you could just go ahead and watch tomorrow's episode instead, which will definitely show you the very first game of the season, which is against Gelsenkirchen or Schalke. And it'll be a very interesting game, of course. But yeah, so we're in Germany, in the Bundesliga, and the reason why we've chosen Leverkusen is pretty kind of simple. They've done relatively well recently. They have some interesting history. They've kind of, if I'm not mistaken, at least according to this, they've been in the Bundesliga for ages now. And apparently they have a bit of a history of always finishing runners-up. So they have one over here, another one over here, another one here, and even here. So, and this isn't just about the Bundesliga. They've also missed out in the Champions League, for example, against Real Madrid. Can't remember which year it was, but yeah, apparently they have a bit of a bad reputation as being a runners-up club. So much so that apparently they have a bit of a nickname called Neverkusen instead of Leverkusen. So it's a bit bad, but it's an interesting club, of course. They've finances, they say they're rich, but they've got 46 million in the bank, which is decent, but they do have a bit of debt to deal with first. Nothing too heavy though. You could kind of pay it off slowly. 300k per month isn't that bad, and the projections are looking good as well. So yeah, they're an interesting club just because of that reason, really. That they in terms of the season preview, they're expected to finish in third, just behind Dortmund and Bayern Munich. And you got the likes of Gelsenkirchen, BMG, Wolfsburg, all that sort of business playing as well. So it is a competitive league, 18 teams. And specifically Bayer Leverkusen, because of that runners-up title, we want to turn them into champions. We want to turn them into dominant champions as well. We want to try and win the league, for example, 3 years in a row, do well as well in the Champions League. But the main thing is to just get them a title, really. If you have a look at their history, they haven't actually won the Bundesliga yet. They have one German Cup to their name, and that was back in 1993, the Euro Cup back in 1988. So it's, we've got a lot of history that we could build here if we'd like, and a very interesting club to take over considering their stature, and we can do much better and hopefully push on and actually become regular winners rather than just have this poor reputation of being runner-ups consistently. So that's mainly why we chose them. They do have a decent squad as well, some decent finances. They're playing in the Champions League as well, so that makes it all interesting. And of course, the challenge of overtaking Dortmund and Bayern as Germany's best team would be a huge challenge in and of itself. So in terms of the past winners of the Bundesliga, Bayern, all the way there. Dortmund, Bayern, Wolfsburg. So it's very heavily won by Bayern Munich, and they're the dominant force, so we're going to try and turn that around. And I think the easiest way to make sure that you're the best team in England, in Germany, is to win it 3 times in a row. If you win it once, that's great. You are the title champions, and you can be proud of that. 2 in a row is really good as well, of course, but 3 in a row is kind of when you're seriously starting to dominate the league. So that's what we want to do with this German team. So in terms of the squad, we can quickly introduce you to them. We've got Luka Zidane on loan, Bernd Leno as well. He's our main goalkeeper. Luka Zidane's actually going to be our backup. Bernd Leno is actually a German goalkeeper. He's got 1 cap to his name. I'm hoping he'll feature regularly for Germany, but I'm happy if he stays with us as well and just performs for us. He's a leading goalkeeper and a fan favourite. So it's kind of an easy decision to make him our first choice goalkeeper. We've got Benjamin Henriks, a wonder kid at right back, which is great to have, of course. Hasn't represented Germany yet, but he's definitely going to be an incredible player for us. If he can just improve in terms of his positioning and marking, we'll have one hell of a right back in our hands. In terms of his ability, actually it's not Oliver that we should be trusting, it's Helmut Jungheim. He's very well suited to the league. He's got 3 stars, and he can go on and become, as it says here, one of the best players at the club. We've got Paul Seguin on loan as well. Wendell. He's going to be our first choice left back, Brazilian left back. He's made some international caps in the under-20s level, but that's pretty much it. He is also another defender who can improve in his positioning and teamwork, so hopefully, if he doesn't actually become a quality player, we will invest in that left-back spot. He has potential to be leading, but if he doesn't become that, we can invest there and improve. If we had the money right now, to be honest, we would improve in the full-back spots without a doubt because of those weaknesses in terms of the players. We've got Paul Dummett as well, unknown from Newcastle. He's going to be the backup. He might be a tiny bit better than Wendell. No, Wendell's better apparently. But he's still a decent player for the first division. He's just on loan for a year until we can kind of make some money and buy the players that we're missing. So obviously missing a goalkeeper and both full-back positions, which is why we fill them up with loanees, because he doesn't have the money to really invest in any actual players. In terms of the centre-backs though, we do have some strong centre-backs. Jonathan Tah is a player to look out for. I think he's a wonder kid in the game. He has some issues such as his determination, concentration and aggression. Those can kind of be worked on, but yeah, he's a German international. Hopefully we can add more to those caps soon, and definitely going to be a player for the future. For now though, he's not a first teamer. We actually got Omar Toprak, who's going to be starting for us, Turkish international, central defender, quality player. He's only considered good for the division, so we definitely need to improve on that front as well. The centre-back positions do need some improvement. The strength of the squad is really in midfield, and we'll talk more about that in just a second. And also alongside him as a first choice is Alexander Dragovic, the Austrian international as well. So plenty of international experience in the team, which is great to see. He's either-footed, which is also another good thing to have. And in terms of his ability, he's only a good player for most first division sides. So centre backs are definitely an area that we can improve in. If we had the money, we would be improving that as well. Tin as well as another backup player, 4 caps for Croatia. He's got a lot of potential, so he hopefully should in the future be playing alongside Jonathan Tah, and if we can develop them, then maybe we won't necessarily have to invest, because we'd have 2 first teamers who are ready for the leading players in the first division. But yeah, he has issues such as concentration, but his aggression, determination in comparison to Jonathan Tah is better. So if we can work on that concentration, we can definitely improve him. So that's our centre backs. In terms of our defensive midfielders, we have these 4 here. Julian as well as another Austrian international. He's worth a lot of money. He's a key player for us, but he's actually going to be a backup to Lars Bender. So he's a good player for the division. Lars Bender though is a good player as well. That's a bit weird. I think our ability is kind of dropping. Both of them actually started the game as leading players. But yeah, we are going to be going with Lars Bender as the first choice, and he's been ever present for Leverkusen and German international. Of course, we're hoping to add to those caps, but of course him playing in a very tough German strong team, German international team. But yeah, he's definitely going to feature for us more than 11 times this season, and I expect him to be a key man for us. So them 2 are going to be competing for the defensive midfielder spot. We also got these 2 here competing with each other for the register spot. And as you can tell, they can both do it quite well. Charles is a Chilean international. He's a leading player for the first division, and hopefully can do quite well for us. Kevin Campbell, his backup, is unfortunate to miss out. He's really talented as well, but he does still need to retrained into the defensive midfielder spot. But he's got the positioning for it. He's got the vision, the passing, all that sort of business, and the tackling as well. So he can definitely be a registrar as well for us. So a bit too much competition for my liking there. Both of them are going to expect to start a lot. It's likely one of them are going to complain and leave, but maybe we can manage that quite well. I'd love to start them alongside each other, but we need a defensive midfielder as well as we need a registrar as well. So it's unfortunate that they both, neither of them can actually do the other role. I think Charles could probably do it just about. But he would be better as a registrar and probably a bit more comfortable, so I think I'd like to see him there. As a defensive midfielder is supposed to tackle hard and whatnot, and he doesn't dive into his tackles, so that might be a bit of an issue. But I might reconsider. We'll see how the season goes. These 2 alongside each other will probably make a better pairing, but until Kevin can actually learn the defensive midfielder spot, there's no real reason to actually play him there. We've also got attacking midfielders in Hakan and Kai Havertz. Everyone knows Hakan through his amazing goal that he scored. He's a Turkish international, still young though, he can become better, possible as a striker, but he doesn't necessarily suit our deep lying forward role. He's got some decent stats for it, but things like teamwork, balance, and especially strength, I feel, are very important. A deep lying forward is normally a very strong physical forward. Not as much as a target man, because they don't have to necessarily have a good jumping reach or whatever, but strength is very important. He's not necessarily the strongest either, but he does have some nice little stats here, like the first touch, passing, that sort of business. But yeah, free kick taking is what he's known for, and that's probably one of his highest attributes. So he's going to be our first choice, and Kai Havertz is another youngster who has a lot of potential for us, can become one of the best players at the club as well, I think. He's still young though, and we're going to be retraining him as a shadow striker. He's very capable in that role, and hopefully he can grow into that a little bit more. But yeah, potential, again, one of the best players of the club, hopefully, so he can eventually take over from Hakan. Two youngsters though, so I'm not really a fan of that. I normally like an experienced first teamer, first choice player, and a leading player for the division, but Hakan's only a good player. But again, we have money issues for this season at least. Hopefully next season will be better, and then we can have first teamers all across the board, the first 11 of strong star or leading players for the division. So that's our midfield sorted out, quite strong. We've got Karim Bellarabi, Leon Bailey, Julian Brand and Kevin Volland as our wingers. We're playing inside forward, so Karim Bellarabi, he's comfortable as a winger, but he might be a tiny bit better as an inside forward. Decision making composure should improve a little bit, it'd be nice to have that improve a bit, but we're not playing with wingers, so he's just gonna have to adjust to the inside forward role. He is the first choice though on the left flank, and he does cut inside from the left wing, so that suits us quite well, and he's a leading player for the division as well, so that's quite good. His competitor is... where's it gone? Yeah, Julian Brandt. So he's a wonder kid as well. He's got a lot of potential, very comfortable as an inside forward, cuts inside from left wing as well, so he suits that, and he can hopefully overtake Bellarabi quite soon in that left wing role, and then he can become a star player for the division. I think he's a German international as well. We need to try and add to his caps there, but he's still young and he has a lot of area to improve in. Bailly and Volland are the right winger inside forwards, both are left-footed. Volland can eventually can play as a striker actually, and I think he's quite comfortable playing as a deep lying forward, but we've got other players there playing for us, and we're looking to improve in that position as well. So we're playing Volland as the first choice, another German international, leading player for the division as well, so suits us perfectly. Leon Bailly is actually a Jamaican player who hasn't got any caps to his name yet, but he's got a lot of potential for us, and he can become a key member for the first team, and hopefully he can provide some competition to his teammate Kevin Volland. In terms of the strikers, we've got Stefan and Admir Mehmedi. Mehmedi is actually kind of unlucky. He doesn't really have a spot in the side. He's not. He's a decent inside forward, but we have other players there that we want to play, such as Brandt, for example, as an inside forward there. So we want him to overtake eventually. And Mehmedi is just a good player for the division, so he's kind of an excess player, but he is comfortable playing as a striker also for now. A deep lying forward as well, he's kind of okay with it. For now, he is our first choice striker there, and we also have Stefan as a backup, but we do want to eventually get rid of Stefan. He's wanted now, so I'll be looking to get rid of him. He's a fan favorite. He's been at Leverkusen forever, really. But unfortunately he's just not good enough for the team at all anymore. He's only a decent player, he's old, and it just makes sense to move him on because he's on 66k wages, and we could really do that money somewhere else. And both these players aren't necessarily best at deep lying forward. I think Stefan's a little bit better attributes wise, but his passing's not too good and his dribbling isn't either. So we'll be looking to improve in the striker department. That's our key concern. In terms of our schedule, so we've pretty much won every friendly, and as you can tell, we've done quite well. We had our assistant manager actually managing these friendlies, but he was using our tactics, of course, and we did well there. The German Cup first round, I didn't feel like it was necessary to show you that. Any cup competitions won't actually be showing you any of the games until we actually meet expectations. So until we get into the semi-final of the German Cup, we won't be showing you any games. The European Champions League, we managed to draw Juventus, Shakhtar and Club Brugge, so we might show you the game against Juventus, for example, or any key game that really determines our future. It's going to be a bit of a tough games here against Shakhtar and Club Brugge. They're not going to be easy to beat at all, but I would expect us to qualify alongside Juventus. Expectations from the board are just reach the group stages, but the further we get, the more money we make, and the better for us as well. In the German First Division, it's qualified for Europa League, but the players themselves are very ambitious. They got upset when I suggested that, and they want to get into the top 4 for the Champions League spots as well. I think we're capable of it. Hopefully we can prove that. That's kind of everything in terms of the schedule. We mentioned the competitions as well. In terms of under-19s and players to look out for, we do have a couple of players here, especially these 4, but you could say anyone up until here is capable of being a great player for us. So Adrian should be able to suit our defensive midfielder role. I think he can improve in some stats, but if he doesn't, he does have some decent vision and whatnot to actually become a registrar if we can get him a bit more comfortable. He does have to round out his attributes, but he's still very young, and maybe we can tutor him to improve as well. Marian as a goalkeeper would be perfect if he could come up as well. Atakan, another defensive midfielder possibly. Central defender suits us as well. Advanced playmaker, not so much, but we can probably retrain him as a shadow striker. We've got a number of players here really that we don't have to go through them one by one, but a bunch of youngsters who can hopefully become first teamers soon. So the youth setup is done quite well. Tactics wise, I'm pretty sure you would have noticed already, but we are playing a 4-2-3-1 with defensive midfielder combo. We're playing on control and attacking. We'll eventually use this formation as well, all 3 slots, but for now I just want to try and get these 2 main tactics down. So we've got control and attacking mentalities. Team shape is structured on both, and then team instructions are the same. We're playing with an offside trap, title marking, and shorter passing. Everything else we want to do is kind of down to already to the player roles themselves. So we do want our players to dribble more. We do want them to take risky passes. We do want our fullbacks to actually provide the crosses more often. Leave the inside forwards to do the thing they do best, which is scoring goals from wide positions. Shadow striker will get past our Mehmedi defensive deep lying forward. We've got a defensive midfielder to complement the registrar on support. We've got a tackle harder instruction here, which is naturally set, and the registrar rolling from position as well is what we want. A central defender is good to keep us grounded, but ball playing defender will be needed as well when we need to break down teams, so we've got that as well. And both wing backs, as we mentioned, and a goalkeeper as well. So that's kind of rounded out our tactics. In terms of the team report, we do have a couple of weaknesses such as leadership. I've noticed that as well when choosing a captain. Some strength as well. I'm pretty sure you guys have noticed as we went through the attributes also. Jumping reach maybe as well. Transfer budget is a bit of an issue, but hopefully after this season it's gone. In terms of our strengths, we do have some decent depth as I showed. Youth prospects as well. Wage budget is not so much of a strength, but I guess because we're doing okay lately, they're happy with it. First touch, we do have good players with first touch and good passing. Goalkeeper depth, defense, goalkeeper defensive depth, that's all definitely right. Decisions and formations as well, I think we're doing quite well in as well. I think there's a bunch of strengths, but definitely these things will change as it goes. In terms of our staff, we added to a bunch of our staff. We've switched around the coaching staff a little bit. We haven't fired anyone because we don't necessarily have the money for it. I'd rather save the money and just kind of weed them out slowly as their contracts go out, but we did improve some of the stuff, and as you can see, mainly in the tactical coaching, attacking coaching, and goalkeeping department. Scouting though, we've got the best scouts in the German division, which is great to see, even though we just have 15. I'll show you how I set up the scouting system as well. Medical staff, great physios as well, so that's good to see. So we've improved in a number of departments. Training, we're going to go throughout the whole season playing on balanced and average, and then switch around the match preparation according to how my scout sees fit. He's judged us and told us to attack set pieces against Gelsenkirchen, so that's what we train them for, but by default it's set on match preparation. And that's kind of it in terms of training. I guess another thing to mention is that I'm training every player in terms of their role as well. So I've got Lucas Zidane, for example, position, goalkeeper, he's training for the role goalkeeper, and so on and so forth, the wing backs and all that sort of business. Scouting, we are looking for a deep line forward, which is what I'm searching for now. Once we have the finances, we'll be okay. In terms of the assignments themselves, I'm kind of just going through Europe first. So we have always set searching for next opposition, trying to find out the weaknesses and whatnot. We've also got someone keeping an eye on the German First Division, see if there's anyone interesting to sign. And then we're just going to go one by one through the Europe, all the nations in Europe basically, and have it all scouted out. And then just have someone roaming around in Europe as we scout the rest of the world as well. So knowledge-wise, we're doing a bit better, but hopefully as the season goes on, we can get better and better. that's kind of it for scouting. In terms of transfers, there's been a couple of ins and outs. I'm sure you've noticed the main out, which is Javier Hernandez to Tottenham. Javier Hernandez would have been a great player for us, a leading player for the division. I would have loved to have held on to him. Tottenham didn't just come for him. We actually looked to sell him. And the reason is, as insane as that sounds, it's a bit of a rash decision for me, to be honest. But I felt like he doesn't suit the system we're trying to play. He doesn't suit any support role, so we just can't really play him anymore. He's an advanced forward, or he's a poacher. He's more of a poacher than he is an advanced forward, really, because it doesn't have necessarily the passing for it. But we're not looking for a player in that role. Our system doesn't suit him at all, and so suits the team for that matter, the whole team rather, for that matter. For example, Stefan, he's not going to play as an advanced forward or that sort of business. So it's just the way the whole team was built, and then Javier Hernandez there just didn't make too much sense. So we sold him because we needed some wage budget maneuver, and we needed some finances to try and get some better players in as well. Also, he's on, some crazy wages too, so it would have been good to go on. He has actually taken a bit of a wage cut to go to Tottenham. But yeah, as you can see, deep lying forward role, he doesn't suit it at all. No strength, balance is decent, but decision making, teamwork, vision, passing, not good at all. Dribbling, all that sort of business. He's really just a finisher. A poacher suits him best. I tried to see the complete forward support role. He can kind of get away with some things, but the way we're looking for our striker to play, he has to have really good passing, and Javier Hernandez doesn't have that, and he was just the most disposable striker. To be honest, Javier Hernandez and Stefan were the players we're looking to get rid of, and both of them were the only strikers, or natural strikers I suppose you could say, in our team. So it was a tough decision to make, but it had to be done. We got some decent money from it, and we'll move on. We also loaned out a bunch of our youngsters to other teams who have some decent facilities. I don't think we sent anyone out on loan to facilities that don't to a club that don't have good facilities. So hopefully all these players can come back in better shape. Paul Dummett was a player that we had to bring in from Newcastle on loan. These are actually loans that I've made before I sold Hernandez, so we didn't have the money. Otherwise, I would have. I felt like the key place we needed the money was the striker position. But if we had more money, I definitely would have brought in players who are more ready. Lucas Zidane, for example, he's only a third division footballer, so we're never going to use him unless Bernard Leno gets injured. I normally have a backup goalkeeper who I use in cup competitions, but I don't think I'm going to use Zidane there at all. We're just going to keep him as a backup to Leno should he ever get injured, and that's kind of it. We're going to hope that our goalkeeper never gets injured. The same goes with Paul. He's a bit better because he's ready for the second division, but definitely if he's not ready for the first division, it just doesn't make sense. We're supposed to be a top club in the division rather, we just had to kind of get him on because these are the only two loans that we could afford really. We didn't even have enough money to actually pay for loans, and so that's why I brought in these two. The only one we could afford was Paul. So yeah, definitely we're weak in some positions, but hopefully our strengths will take us through the season, and we can make up for it. In terms of the club itself, we've shown you the league history, and the reputation, finances, all that sort of business. The club kits as well, black and red is kind of the colours that we go for. Third kit's very strange, but yeah, that's kind of it. In terms of the captain, Lars Bender was kind of a straightforward decision, always been at Bayer Leverkusen, and he's always been and he's going to be a first teamer for us as well, so he should feature regularly. We've got his backup to his position, and obviously the vice captain as well, Julian. So whenever Lars Bender isn't playing, Julian should be playing, which would mean we always have a captain available. It's none of that weird every game someone else is a captain kind of business. Apparently key players Omar, but that's debatable. And that's kind of it. General things, we don't have any real fierce rivalries, but hopefully that can develop as the game goes on. But for now, we've got Köln, we've got BMG, and we've got Bayern Munich in the other rivals bit. So we'll probably showing all three games this season. Later on we can also show you some key decisions as well. So favorite personnel, I'm pretty sure everyone knows Berbatov, Leno, Bender. These players are very well-known names. And we also have some legendary players who are actually among our staff now. So Ulf isn't, but we've got, for example, Rüdiger. He's our goalkeeping coach. Incredible goalkeeping coach, really. It's great to have him on board. And of course, he knows the club inside out, so that's good to see. Squad personality is highly ambitious, like I mentioned, so it's good. And we're also a professional team, and the media prediction is third, so we should be getting Champions League football hopefully quite easily. I think this season's all about surviving and hopefully competing, winning maybe one trophy such as the German Cup, and if we can get away with that for our first season before next season where we seriously improve our squad, then that would be great as well. Cities, of course, Leverkusen. Capacity for the stadium is 30k, so hopefully we can improve that and get some more fans in. That's only if we have enough fans as is. Stadium conditions good, all that sort of business is great to see. We can definitely improve in terms of our facilities as well, and we'll be looking to improve our junior coaching in particular. Youth recruitment could do a little bit improvement, but mainly it's just junior coaching that needs the work. Affiliates, no affiliates, and we've already gone through the history as well, so that's kind of it. The board, so far my experience is that they're a decent board. They don't, apparently he'll never leave the club. They've given us some decent staff. I think we can definitely have a bit of a bigger staff, but for now, considering the finances, we'll just keep it as is. 7 million in the bank, we can definitely improve it, but if we go to 13 million, we can only afford to give the player that we're bringing in like 20k on wages, so that's just a bit silly. Even 7 million is pushing it a bit, but that's all we've got. We'll be making definitely board requests, like improving the facilities, like we mentioned, all this sort of business, junior coaching, all of that, once the board trusts us. So you have to give it, I think, if you give it till about October before you make any requests, that's about right, and the board normally respond to that. But they are happy with a number of things here, so it's good to see that in the early stages of the season. Transfer activity, the fans are definitely unhappy with the Javier Hernandez transfer, as well as Zidane, because they obviously know he's not ready at all. Some reason they're okay with Seguin, they want to see how he'll perform. But that's kind of expected. The board will be happy with the Javier Hernandez sale because we sold him for double the amount that we actually paid for him, and we obviously got his high wages off the balance, I suppose, off the thing. But anyways, so yep, we mentioned the balance already at 46 million. Hopefully it can improve income exponentially. As always, wages that take the most. FFP we should be okay with. The debts we mentioned as well. Sponsors, I think we can definitely improve with some of these sponsors. If we're one of the big teams in Germany, we can definitely do better. The good thing about Germany as well is wherever you end in the division as well, you get some decent money. It's not like the French league, for example, or Spanish, I think maybe as well, or the Italian like we experienced the last time round. If you finish in the German division, you get some quite good money really. Transfer budget was just 17 million next year, but I expect this to improve as it looks like our finances is improving in general. Also, the club are backed by a pharmaceutical company, if I'm not mistaken, Bayer Leverkusen. I think Bayer is the club's name is actually Leverkusen because they represent the city, but I think Bayern is a sponsorship kind of name because they're the ones who back them. They're a pharmaceutical company called Bayer, and I guess that's kind of a straightforward thing. So yeah, that's the aim for the season, to try and turn Leverkusen into a top team, a regular winning team, not just a runners-up sort of thing. We don't want that Leverkusen nickname. We want to turn it into, regular winners and dominant winners of the division. And it's going to be very interesting to see how we perform against Dortmund and Bayern Munich in particular. And yeah, and hopefully we can do well. So let me just quickly show you the money that you can get from the first division. So if you finish in first place, you actually get 60 mil. I think the Premier League comes quite close to this, so I think they're even more. But this is some decent money. So if I do end in third or fourth, I already made 47 million balanced as well. So that's good money to make. If we do stay in around this figure and get another 40 million next year, we have 80 million in the bank, and so on and so forth. We can continue improving. Well, obviously, being in the Champions League will get us some good money as well. Number of teams is 18, which is perfect. So that means we only play 34 games, unlike in the Premier League 38. And we do have a winter break, so that's good to see as well. Only the bottom two teams are relegated. The third one goes into sort of playoff battle. And, we have top 6 or even I think 7 for European football, top 4 for Champions League, and up until 7th for Europa League. So it's good. It's a competitive league, but also a strong league, and we'll be hoping to win it next year. If we do surprise everyone and win it this year, that'd be great. But I think everything's set up for us to do quite well, get Champions League football at least. We do have a number of leading players for the division. It's just about turning our whole first 11 into leading or even star players for the division. I can expect that Bayern have a bunch of star players. That wouldn't surprise me at all. We can actually have a quick look at the squad, I think, if we've scouted some of them. Neuer is probably definitely a world-class goalkeeper. Have we scouted any of them? No, apparently not. Okay, Alaba, for example, world-class player as well. Martinez, come on, tell me you scouted someone else. Okay, Bernard, there you go. So he's a leading player and he can go even more, so he'll probably become a star player. Unless it's not like the Italian league where you have star players, because the league is so strong where you just have leading players for division or world-class. That's kind of it. But let's see how it goes. And that's kind of it. I think that kind of covers everything. So, keep an eye out on tomorrow's episode where we'll definitely be playing the first game of the season. hopefully we kick it off well. You kind of did play the first game, which was the German Cup first round, but I feel like that doesn't really count. It's about the first division really, and that's kind of it. And then we'll go on. The way we'll be doing it is always about which games are most interesting, which ones are the most crucial. The likelihood is, to be honest, looking at the early fixtures, Gelsenkirchen, Juventus is the first game we're going to play. It's a bit tough, but we'll probably show you the Bayern Munich one instead. They're our rivals, and then maybe we can show you Juventus further down when we play them here, for example. But yeah, so that's all for today's episode. If you did enjoy it, then of course please do hit the like button and subscribe for more daily Football Manager 2017 content. And as always guys, thank you all very much for watching.